Sister, how are you?
Shanti, brother, fine. How are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm fine too, sister. Today we are going to discuss about the hot topic of India or the world, which is about Mona Lisa. Because the world-renowned function is happening in Prayagraj, uh, Mahakumbh Mela that happens only once in 144 years. So people are thronging in crowds to the confluence of Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So people were flocking with the intention of attaining Mukti, to wash away their sins. That's the reason they usually take bath in Ganges. But unfortunately, for the past 2, 3 days, people, instead of speaking about Mukti and the intense devotees of God Shiva, Vishnu, Parvati, their focus is now on a beautiful girl called Mona Lisa, who came there just to sell Rudraksha. So this media person, without knowing what to focus, because there's nothing there to focus, it's just a river. So how many days they will keep showing the river? So they started taking interviews of some sadhus, but nothing came out of them. So randomly they took interview of a girl, this Mona Lisa, who was selling Rudraksha. She came all the way from Indore. So she was saying something that catch the media's attention. Uh, that video went so viral that all YouTubers flocked to Mahakumbh Mela just to interview her, just to take selfie with her. So now, whether India should feel proud of Mahakumbh Mela or feel ashamed of the behavior of Indians going after a girl instead of going after a god. So this has been on debate for the past 2, 3 days. And nobody gained anything from this because even she couldn't sell. Nobody leaves her to sell. They were interested in just taking selfies and taking interviews. So at one point, a gang of 9 or 10 members entered her tent while she was taking rest. When her brother protested, they even beat him. So she got really afraid of this, and they even closed her face. She wore this mask to uh, hide her identity, but still, mm, her eyes are so unique. Uh, she has some looks of Aishwarya Rai. So that's another reason people she gets viral within a day. So now the people who went there to take bath to attain mukti, even after taking bath, they are searching for Mona Lisa. So the reason they do this is um, maybe Mona Lisa is beautiful, but that's not the main reason. They don't know what mukti is. Do they think that just by dipping in one holy river will makes you holy? One anchor correctly asked Isha Yoga Sadguru Jaki Vasudev why people are thronging here. And he says finally that bathing is good. She says you can do it at your home, which makes sense. It's the same water. Everything, be it Ganges or anything, everything is from the sea. So it's taken by clouds, it rains somewhere, then it flows as river. You can find the same water underground. So how can you believe that you can become pure? Your sins can be washed by water. If it is something impure in your body, okay, there's a possibility it gets clean. But the impurity is not in the body, it is in the soul. That shines like a tiny star in between the eyebrows, which is why Hindus apply tilak here. It's so tiny that nobody can see it. God is equally tiny. He resides in the supreme abode, which is the golden red colored light world. This is called Parandam by Hindus, Parlok by Christians. So this God is called Shiva by Hindus, Heavenly Godfather by Christians, Allah by Muslims. God is just one for all religions. So what is Mukti? In Hindi, it means liberation or freedom. Freedom from what and where? Why do you need it? If you are living in a palace, would you beg for freedom? When you are the king, will you beg for freedom? So if you beg for liberation, there is something wrong. If somebody is caught in the middle of the desert, uh, where he is treated so badly by Arabs, which happens so frequently, if he seeks freedom, that makes sense. But what is wrong here for you to long for freedom? If there is something wrong, then you should have the idea of where you want to go after liberation. Do you have any idea where you want to go? You have no idea. Isha Yoga Jaki Vasudev, he has no idea who he is, first of all. He says we want to be liberated. Who the hell we are? He says you should rise above the body. Okay, who is it that rises above the body? He is the single spiritual guru throughout the globe who doesn't use the word soul, which means he doesn't even know anything about soul. How can he be called spiritual guru? Spirituality means the study of the soul that improves the soul. He doesn't have any idea about it. All he speaks about is you want to live happily here, right here. That's not spirituality. How can you expect someone to live happily in the jail? People want liberation because this is jail, prison, where people are suffering with many diseases, conflict between family members. Several natural calamities strike them suddenly. And there are wars between nations. So, of course, we need liberation because don't take it carelessly. The world is getting worse day by day. It's not going to be better anymore. It's going to get more and more worse. Okay, that's true. To the point it will eventually get destroyed. That's what people are afraid of, the Third World War, which is definitely going to happen. So that's the reason we need freedom from this earth. But where do you go from here? Nobody knows that. So it is the liberation of the soul from this body, from this land to where it came from, the supreme abode. That is called mukti or liberation. But that's not the ultimate goal, because whether you make any effort or not, whether you believe in God or not, you are sure to reach the place by the end when the world gets destroyed. So that's not the main aim. The main aim is to come down to earth from the supreme abode. When this world gets renewed into heaven, the world destruction is just the renewal of the world into heaven. It was heaven in the beginning, 5,000 years before. After first 2,500 years, it slowly becomes hell because that's where we start making mistakes and sins. In heaven, we did not make any sin. The reason is we were completely free of these five vices: lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego. These five vices are present both in men and women, which are combinedly called 10-headed Ravan. Other than that, there is no one with 10 heads as mentioned in Ramayana. So it is we souls who are imprisoned by Ravan. We need liberation from him. Who will liberate us? The one who is never imprisoned can only liberate us from this imprisonment. That is none but one God, Shiva. He is called Allah by Muslims, Heavenly Godfather by Christians. So it is just one God who comes in the end to liberate us. He enters an old man's body and enlightens us about this 5,000-year time cycle where we were enjoying the richness of heaven. We had enormous amount of beauty and health and wealth. Above all, we were fully soul conscious. That is, we considered each other as souls. It is the soul that looks through the eyes, speaks through the mouth, listens through the ears, performs all actions through this body. The moment it leaves the body, this body gets perished. It can be of no use. So we need to be liberated from the body consciousness. In heaven, they were soul conscious, so they did not seek liberation. As Jaki Vasudev says, nobody thinks about it because they were so happy. Even wild animals like lion and tiger, they feed on plants, not on other animals or humans. Everybody will be loving each other. So that's the place we cherish a lot. So the idea of getting liberated from this world, attaining mukti, never arises there to anybody. But after 2,500 years, we slowly become body conscious. We forget that we are the soul because the soul loses its power. So the power of concentration decreases. It gets distracted by the external attractions. So we become addicted to sensual pleasures because while we were soul conscious, we were constantly blissful and peaceful because the true nature of the soul itself is peacefulness and blissfulness. But when we can no longer remain soul conscious, that is when we are forced to seek pleasure from outside. So, whatever we believe that gives pleasure, we go after it. Like Ram goes after the golden deer. But that's Maya. You can never hold it with you permanently. Even if you get pleasure, that's short lived. So that's how it fools us. Just by forgetting we ourselves are the embodiment of blissfulness and peacefulness, we seek it outside. We go after it. We get deceived. Still, we don't give up seeking pleasure from outside. So, the five vices, lust, anger, greed, attachment, and ego, emerge from both men and women. They become addicted to that. And the worst form of addiction is the addiction to lust, which is why in Srimad Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned lust is the greatest enemy for humans. So when we indulge in sensual pleasures or lust, we can no longer differentiate between right and wrong. All the decisions we take end up being a sin. All the acts we perform become sinful acts. So this needs to be stopped, says God when he comes in the last 100 years. He enters an old man's body, he names him Brahma, and he says, you have done a lot of sin for which if you are punished, you cannot bear it. So God gives us the secret to come out of the sin, to wash away the sin by being in remembrance of none but one God all the time. Whether you sit, stand, walk, take bath, take food, whatever you do, just stay connected to God as a point of light by considering yourself to be a point of light as well. Don't consider yourself to be body any longer. It is by becoming body consciousness we have lost here the richness of heaven. We are like beggars now. We are begging for peace, happiness. We want somebody to make us happy, to make us peaceful. That's the reason people go after spiritual guru, temple after temple. You can't find anywhere. It's within you. But for that, you need to connect your mind to God so that the that's covering your soul will be wiped out eventually. So this is the teaching of God. Very simple. Remember you as a point of light and remember God as a point of light. No matter what you do. It is by doing this and by reading the teaching of God that is available through all Brahmakumari meditation centers in the form of Murli. So there's no other way. Just remember God as a point of light all the time by considering yourself to be the soul. What happens is if you remember God as a point of light, when you leave this body and you don't remember anybody, only then you will be able to reach there because mind and intellect forms a part of the soul. Whatever thought it produces, it takes the soul towards that place. That's the reason God asks you to remember God and forgetting everything and everybody of this world because you don't want to take birth here because the world is about to be destroyed. So only now God comes and gives this secret. So far, whatever we have listened, they are all human dictates, teachings of humans. They have no idea how God looks like, how to attain Mukti. So only now we have to attain Mukti because the world is going to be destroyed. In addition, we need to attain Jivan Mukti, that is entering heaven. If you become as pure as we originally were in the beginning, you will be able to enter heaven. In heaven, there is no form of any form of vice, lust, anger, greed, attachment, and evil. That's the reason, although men and women get married, although they give birth to child, they don't involve in physical relationship. It is just when a husband and wife have the thought of having a baby, the wife gets conceived. So that's the reason we worship deities till now in Hinduism. But we forget the fact we were deities originally. And God has come to remind us about that and wake us up from the sleep of ignorance. It is also mentioned in Bible and Quran that God comes in the end to wake us up from the graveyard. It is not that graveyard where our body is buried. We forget that we are souls. We are souls. We forget it. It's like we are dead. It is in this graveyard. It is from here God awakens us. So all we need to do is to remember God as a point of light, and the highest status one attains in heaven is the status of Lakshmi and Narayan, the king and queen of the world, the entire world, because only India will be there during the golden age. So it's going to come. So in the same Mahakumbh Mela, where you see people going after Monalisa, going after taking dip in the river, going after all false human gurus. Brahma Kumari stall is also there. They are teaching this, but no YouTuber is interested in covering that. That's Kali. You will see beautiful statues of Krishna, Radha, and heaven. Everything is beautifully there. But unfortunately, nobody is interested in that. They are interested in Monalisa than anything else. So that's why in Ramayana it is mentioned Surpanagai, who is a devil, takes the form of a deity and tries to uh, intoxicate or corrupt the mind of Ram and Lakshman. But they didn't let their mind corrupted. No matter how beautiful one is in Kali Yuga, they are Surpanakas because you don't know how the deities of heaven were. They were the most beautiful men and women the earth has ever witnessed. So, by remembering God as a point of light, you don't have to go after Mona Lisa or anybody, any beauty queen. Instead, you yourselves will become million times more beautiful than Mona Lisa. And you will be married to a spouse who is equally beautiful like you. Because when the soul gets purified, you will automatically get the pure body and beautiful body, free of any diseases. So you will be ever wealthy, ever healthy, ever beautiful. And you will be living in palaces made of golden bricks. Such wealthy you would be. Nonetheless, you will have no windows or doors to keep it closed. Because none of those who reside in heaven has any thought of taking anything from anybody. Because they are all self-satisfied. Because they are constantly happy. They don't depend on anything outside to make them happy. They don't even depend on their body to make them happy. So that's the reason God makes us soul conscious again. Just the very fact people go to take dip in Mahakumbh Mela, and right after that they get intoxicated with the beauty of Mona Lisa. This proves the fact that by dipping in any river, your soul can never be purified because your thoughts remain same. When the soul gets purified, you will no longer be attracted to any worldly things. That doesn't happen in a fraction of a second. It takes time and effort, my dear brother and sister. You have to constantly be in remembrance of God. You have to consciously make effort not to see what is in front of you, not to listen what you can hear. Always remember one God and remember his teachings. That's available absolutely free of cost in all Brahmakumaris Raj Yoga meditation centers. That's called Murli. You can get access of it freely from internet through several YouTube channels, through several websites. You can Google it yourself, Brahmakumaris Murli, in whatever language you want it to be. We will be giving the links of some of them in the description below. Please make use of it. So it's time for you to become Mahalakshmi. When uh, when your groom looks for a bride, he wants his bride to be like Mahalakshmi, not Mona Lisa or anybody, right? Because Mahalakshmi is not only the most beautiful and also the most rich girl the earth has ever witnessed. Also, the girl filled with all divine qualities that a man desires. So obviously she will be married to someone similar to her. So become so, then you get married to her instead of going after someone here. So this is the message we want you to take. And if you are going to visit Mahakumbh Mela, please, please, please visit the Brahmakumari's stall. It's a grand exhibition. You will get knowledge. And also if you are a YouTuber, please take video of it. Make some Brahmakumari sister and brother to speak about it and put it on YouTube. Not only you will gain from that, but also you will make your brothers and sisters enter heaven. Om Shanti. Thanks for watching. Om Shanti, sister.
Thank you, brother. Om Shanti.